With Proudfoot having already all but locked up the championship, things may seem predestined here in the Bootleg Racing League. But if this series has taught us anything, it's that anything can happen. Will Lanier throw a wrench into Proudfoot's dominant run, or will a new winner rise up? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Chad Irvine. Here with me in the booth is Reese Gardner, and we're behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Lanier is one of the oldest dirt tracks on iRacing, but in case anyone has forgotten about it, let's head to our track guide to find out more.
Lanier National Speedway, now known as Lanier Raceplex, finally started seeing racing action again a few years ago. Before the track went silent in 2011, it was a common feature on touring short track series schedules across the southeastern United States, but today we harken back to an age before Lanier was even paved. Lanier was originally built as a 3/8 mile dirt oval back in 1982, and it saw plenty of weekend dirt track action with your late models and street stocks. As open-wheel dirt track racing became more popular across the Southeast, the world of outlaws, sprint cars even made some trips here in the mid-80s. Midgets and sprints, USAC Silver Crown, they all took their turns. But alas, Lanier was paved in 1987. But thankfully, in the world of iRacing, we can harken back to the days where the cushion and tire stagger were king and put modern dirt racing vehicles back onto Lanier. It's time to sling some mud in Georgia.
It's been a very dominant season so far, Reese. Proudfoot just running away with the championship. But why don't you walk us through a little bit about this Lanier track?
Yeah, of course, Lanier, one of the oldest dirt ovals on iRacing. Of course, not a dirt oval in real life. It's just across the road from Road Atlanta, and unfortunately not active as a racetrack anymore. But in the virtual world, iRacing has kept it alive and well with a very fast beating heart in the BRL dirt street stocks here. 5 to 11 degrees of banking in the turns, variable as you get up towards the top. That means we've got multiple lines here that can work. And of course, it's a dirt oval, so it's very short. 0.38 miles, only 600 meters long. For those of you that live in metric land, I'm really looking forward to this one because Lanier always provides fantastic racing in dirt racing.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. As Proudfoot, we talked about him in the open. Proudfoot just running away with the championship. Let's take a look real quick here at our championship standings. There you see him with a 68-point gap over Billy Northcutt, with Bobby Rafferty in third. Then J.R. Shepard very close there, 2 points behind Rafferty, so they're still battling for that third spot. And then Jim Rivas in the fifth spot, pretty far behind the rest of them. But hey, we've got a couple races left this season. Going to be fun to watch. Let's take a look here, Reese. Walk us through our race details.
Yeah, well, this is going to be your usual dirt event here with heats of 6 laps, 6 cars each. The top 2 transfer to the feature, and then we've got an 8-lap B main, and then we've got that 40-lap feature, hopefully with an 18-car grid. And because this is dirt street stocks, they are running a fixed setup. The drivers can't adjust anything on the cars apart from probably brake bias and a couple of small other adjustments. So out there on track, they are relying fully on their driving and where the grip is on the track. And as you can already see as we ride on board with Joe Sigala, there's already a bit of a groove forming, bit of a slick line in the middle of the track that the drivers are going to want to avoid.
Yeah, it's interesting always watching that line form up because you see it kind of sweeps all the way out to the wall on corner entry. If you're on the high side, it definitely makes things very hard to control. But if you can get above that and kind of keep it up against the wall, you've got a clean shot on exit. You can also, of course, run below it and have a little bit more fun trying to keep it down. Maybe pull off a slide job if you're running down up against that wall early on in the race.
Yeah, well, as we mentioned in the track info, this track has variable banking, so it's actually quite steep the further up you get towards the wall. Other than that, Lanier is quite flat, but because it's so wide, you see drivers not running the wall all the way around. You might see drivers running the wall the whole way around if they're driving the 360 or the 410 sprint car or something with a good amount of downforce, but in these street stocks that rely a bit more on that mechanical grip and sliding over the surface, running down a bit more to the middle to the low line is usually the way to go.
And something else to note is there's a bump on the inside of turn 4, and that actually played a part in last season's race here. Going to be interesting to watch that, as well as just how hard it is to stay out of trouble. I know most dirt tracks that's going to be the case just about everywhere you run, but especially here, it just feels like when somebody spins, you have to do your darndest to stay out of trouble, because you can end up in the wall or in another car in a hurry.
Yeah, well, fortunately, unless you do get into another car in a hurry, these cars are very difficult to spin. So the drivers, I'm sure, will be hanging the tail out at every opportunity and trying their best to easily recover it, which shouldn't be too difficult for them when the track is still reasonably fresh. But of course, as the night goes on, that line, that slick line is going to get a little bit worse as the night goes on. The drivers are going to have to search up and down the track to find a bit more grip. You might see drivers going for the really low line early on, but then moving up to the high, maybe somewhere towards the middle, coming towards the end. But it all depends on the driver's style and what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, you're talking about that slick line. We saw it just a second ago with that glossy surface right there that we're looking at. Kind of in the middle of the corner. It's basically all across the track on entry, then it just forms, kind of tapers off into a strip on exit. But that's where all that's all that glossy surface is very slick for these cars. You want to try to run either above it or below it, depending on how the car is feeling, how you want to drive it, because it is fixed setup. You have to find a way to take advantage of it to fit your driving style.
Yes, well, as we watch the number 81 of Joe Segala still making his way around, the checkered flag is flying here in the practice session, and we are about to go into qualifying, and it seems every driver getting 4 laps here to set their times for the heats, and I'd say that's a good number of laps for a qualifying session. You do need a few laps here to build up some momentum around Lanier and get the best out of your car.
Yeah, we got a bunch of guys like John Wilson jumping out right away, trying to take advantage of this track while he can. As he's out there flying. It's 7:35 virtual standard time here. The date is actually in the sim set to May 15th, so it's not going to be as hot as it might be here on a warm August night. But overall, it's going to be a fun show here as these guys get set for 4 laps of qualifying. As John Wilson tries to work his way around, he sets a 16.873 his first time around.
Bobby Rafferty going to provisional pole, a 16.698. That's a very good time there, 2 tenths ahead of John Wilson. And around a very short track like Lanier, 2 tenths is worth a lot as Stacey Hunter goes up to 4th. Brennan Myers immediately pips Stacey to 4th place, and Cody Jones beating Todd Liston at 2.6. So a really big flurry of laps coming in as Segala going to P3. Good lap there.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very tight field here. You see right now Bobby Rafferty about 2 tenths up on Wilson. But a couple guys further down, very tight. You see there on your screen, that's Cody Jones working his way around. He's going to improve, goes to 4th quick. But, I mean, even from, say, Liston down in 8th now, all the way back to Jones, they're only about 2 tenths separated between about 5th and 10th.
Yeah, it's very close here as Liston decides his session is done. Billy Northcutt, who topped the practice session and I believe 2nd in the championship, going to 4th overall for the time being. Ryan Seneca then not able to improve on his fastest time. He's going to remain in 12th. What about Bobby Hayes across the line for a 16.878, and that is going to be good enough for P6 so far. Patrick Cowgill, who usually races in the Precision Racing League, is making his debut here tonight. He's managed to put it 9th so far as Billy Northcutt tries his best best to improve on that time. That's not going to happen that time around. It's still Bobby Rafferty on the top.
And by the way, something I just noticed, your current championship leader, Brandon Proudfoot, not here tonight. We talked about anything might happen throughout the season. That's a pretty big something to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No championship leader to be seen, but maybe he believes with the points lead he has, he can afford to miss around here and continue to fight for that championship. But of course, there could be some extenuating circumstances that prevent him from turning up tonight. So I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, it's a shame that he's not here. Would have been interesting to see how he compared to this field here.
Yeah, Lanier is a very fun track to run. One of my favorites here on the dirt oval side of iRacing as we watch Billy Northcutt. I believe he has completed all of his timed laps, so he's just getting as much practice in as he can. Some of these guys just having a blast with it out there. About a minute left here in qualifying, and just about everybody has set a time. So just waiting for the minutes to tick down. Any predictions, Reese, that you have throughout as we get ready for this race?
I will have to be completely honest with you and say that I'm completely new to this league. This is my first time commentating on dirt for GSRC, so I think that if I were to make any predictions now, I would be proven horribly wrong as the night goes on. But with the times as close as they are in this field, I reckon it's going to be a very hotly contested B main, and the feature grid is probably going to be decided maybe by some very hard racing in those heats.
And from what I know about the dirt street stocks and what we've seen throughout both in officials and here in the BRL on the dirt, is you're in for a fun time. That's going to be my prediction. So we're going to have a blast. These guys are going to put on a show, and everybody watching at home, make your predictions over in the YouTube chat. Let us know who's going to win this one, as Bobby Rafferty looks to sit on pole with a time of 16.698.
Yeah, pretty fantastic time there from Bobby Rafferty. As the time ticks down, we're about to go into the grid here for the first heat of the night. It's looking like 3 heats here tonight, Chad, of 5 cars each.
And in heat number 1, it's going to be Bobby Rafferty on the inside with Jim Reeves to the outside, then J.R. Shepard and Brennan Myers and Cody Jones wrapping up the field here. As these heats, as we talked about, 6 laps to advance from these heats to the feature. The rest will go into the B main.
Indeed they will, and there's not going to be any danger of drivers being forced to go home here tonight, because we have less cars in the server than the limit for the feature grid, so everyone's going to make it in, and we should have a lovely field of street stocks out there as the sun goes down in virtual Braselton, Georgia. Another thing I love about these street stocks is how creative people get with the liveries on these things. You know, it is based on a Chevy, is the street stock, but drivers put their own twists on it, which is really awesome to see, and some fantastic liveries as they set off on the first of their formation laps. Rafferty versus Reeves on the front row, and Rafferty's going to be the one with the advantage here. He can go pretty much any time he likes as soon as the pace car pulls in.
Yeah, Jim Reeves in that fist full of bourbon machine. It's a very familiar paint scheme. A lot of guys running there for Jim Beaver Esports doing just, I mean, they've got guys in every series that I've run in, everything from rallycross to sports cars. They are making their presence felt here on iRacing. So a familiar face to see a sponsor on the car there, and it's going to be fun to watch as the pace car pulls in. And we are green for heat number 1 here from Lanier, as it's to the inside, and Bobby Rafferty off to a great jump. Some battling in behind with Reeves, but he's going to be clear for P number 2. You have to watch how things cycle out here as we complete lap number 1 of 6. We're going to have a change for the lead.
Well, Jim Reeves really trying up the inside of Bobby Rafferty here, and running all the way to the inside wall. He's going to force this issue as the laps tick down, but just above that slick groove. Man, Rafferty is continuing to hold on to the momentum there on the outside, and Rivas setting the fastest lap. He is starting to inch ahead, but I think this is going to continue side by side for a while. This could give an advantage to JR Shepherd. Have a look at him starting to reel these guys in.
Yeah, and the biggest thing if you're JR Shepherd, just trying to keep yourself in a position you can take advantage if either of the two in front of you make a mistake. Of course, everybody's going to make the feature here, but I mean, you still want to try to get there as easily as possible. You don't have to worry about trying to qualify through that B main.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to get in each other's way too much, give each other a bit of space here, and they will have secured their feature spots, no trouble at all. But the fight continuing here with JR Shepherd now starting to pressure Bobby Rafferty, as Rafferty almost tried to go for the over-under there on Jim Rivas. Nothing happening for the time being. It looks like Rivas has this just about down pat as they're about to cross the line.
Yeah, through the final corners, here they come. It's Rivas in front, and Rafferty holds on for that second transfer spot. Shepherd is going to have to go to the B main with Myers and Cody Jones to try to set their position for the feature race.
So that is that done then, and we can move on forward to the Heat 2 grid. William Hargraves is going to start off a P1 for this one. John Wilson joining him on the front row. Joe Segala and Todd Liston taking up row 2, with Ryan Seneca rounding out the 5-car field here in the number 19. They're all pulling away behind the pace truck, and away we go once more. That was a pretty good first heat there, Chad, and looking forward to seeing what the next two are.
Yeah, as close as that racing was, and even that battle for the third position, I think it was less than 2/10 between second and third for that final transfer spot. So we're going to have to see how close these guys can keep it, as Hargraves on the pole going to have the advantage on the inside and when they take the green.
Indeed. Who's going to blink first here? Hargraves has certainly got the advantage here, and he'll undoubtedly get the jump, but it all comes down to how the rest of the field respond. Pace car coming in, pace truck coming in, I should say. We're about to get a green flag.
Pace truck is in, and a huge jump there for Hargraves, as he's going to be clear by about 2 cars. They dive into turn number 1, but they're still side by side for second between Wilson and Segala. Very loose there was a 75 of Wilson on the high side. Sending it up the inside is Segala. Can he make the move? Can he get it done? No, he can't. A huge, great run off the corner there for John Wilson.
A little bit of a tap there as well for good measure. This is street stocks. It is a bit of a contact sport, is dirt racing, unless you're driving a sprint car, of course. On board here with Segala, and you see both of them are having a bit of trouble keeping it straight through the turns. They're having to saw away at the wheel a bit, struggling with stability, but Segala up the inside of Wilson, and Todd Liston is going to try and follow him through here. Stuck up on the high line a little bit there was John Wilson, and he has to give up the position twice now, back down to third, out of the transfer spot. He's going to have to fight hard for this.
Yeah, and Todd Liston right there on the inside now. He's going to be fighting hard. He's going to try hard to get that transfer spot. He's already up to that third spot. Can't quite get clear of Wilson yet, but he was pushing hard. He was looking pretty comfortable on the high side just a lap ago as well. But that Sim Racer coin machine, another great sponsor here. All throughout iRacing. I've seen them sponsor a couple different cars and leagues, so great to see some familiar faces, familiar paints on cars as well. As there you see sending it all the way to the top side, goes above the cushion, and that's going to be sending Liston back to the 4th spot. So it's Hargraves and Segala here as they work the final lap. A huge lead for William Hargraves, as he is going to take the first spot in this one, and Joe Segala looks to be the one taking that second transfer spot directly to the final.
And Hargraves got into the wall a couple of times, as we saw there. I almost piped up, but ultimately he managed to hold on to that one. Time then for the Heat 3 grid. It's Billy Northcutt and Bobby Hayes on the front row. Patrick Cowgill, Jason Mender on row 2, and Stacey Hunter taking up the final spot on the grid. Let's see how this one goes. It seemed that the battle for the transfer spot is very hotly contested, as we have a live feed for Mr. Cowgill. We can get a bit of an eye in to his setup, and that's looking like a very slick rig there with the direct drive wheel.
Yeah, something I don't think I could ever afford, especially, I've got triple monitors, but they're all just hodgepodge, whatever I could throw together. But hey, make the most of what you got, and he's doing that and then some, because that's quite the setup, especially with a huge thanks to Patrick for throwing us that onboard shot and giving us a look at what it's like to race and what he sees in these cars. As you see the car up in front of him as well on the outside, Bobby Hayes, one of my favorite paints in here. I'm definitely not biased towards that GSRC number 13 machine as they work their way around the pace ups here.
Yeah, indeed. There's a bunch of really lovely looking cars around here as we're getting ready for the green flag to fly. Who is going to blink first back in the field? It's going to be up to Billy Northcutt to get things going here, and he manages to get the jump, leaves Bobby Hayes behind as they go into turn one, and side by side just behind for third and fourth between Mender and Cowgill. Cowgill's down there on the bottom line, but looks like Mender's just managed to get him there on the exit at the very least on the high line. On the entry, that's where Cowgill has the advantage, but he might have to switch up to the high side pretty soon.
Yeah, taking a look, you see that slick line that we were talking about starting to form up. It's almost the entire inside in both corners as these guys completely on what is now the black stuff. It's going to have some shine to it as well, as we got the first two, Northcutt and Hayes, about 3/4 of a second in front of Menda, who's in the third spot.
Yeah, it looks like first and second looking very close right now, only 7/10 of a second between these two guys, and they're all both looking pretty comfortable there on the slick, but remains to be seen whether or not they're going to try some banzai move. They know that their spots in the feature are already secured if they can just stay out of each other's way.
Yeah, and we saw that onboard shot just a moment ago, watching these guys just work that wheel, the precision it takes and the control that it takes to work your way. Look at those hands, left, right, turn. You're going, as Doc Hudson said back at the movie Cars, you got to turn right to go left, and making the most of that here. Just watch that wheel work and work through the corners.
Those faces look familiar down in the bottom right. I wonder who those guys are. Oh, no, covered them up. But as we ride on board with the number 33, have a look at that. What a beautiful view this is on board at Lanier, final lap, and it looks like Billy Northcutt's going to come away with it.
Such a fantastic 3 heats to start the night, and we've got a lot of racing left to go. It's going to be fun to watch this B main to see where these guys set their spots for in the final, as we take a look here at the starting lineup for that B main, with J.R. Shepard on the pole on the inside of John Wilson, then Jason Menda and Brendan Myers, then Todd Liston and Patrick Cowgill. Cody Jones and Ryan Seneca make up row number 4, and Stacy Hunter on row number 5. So about twice as many cars on track now as there were in the heats. So the track's going to be a little bit more cramped. Drivers are going to have to stake out their bit of real estate a little more assertively, but still, it's probably a better situation than having something like 24 sprint cars running around here, as I have in a couple of leagues a while back that I commentated on. That was certainly a bit messy. Should be a bit nicer here in these street stocks, but it's all going to be up to J.R. Shepard here. And remember, all drivers in this field are going to go through to the feature, so there's not much sense to getting too biff and bargy around here. Might as well keep it clean, secure your position, and then when the feature comes around, you try and work your way up then. Pace car now working its way into turn number 3. It's going to pull off here in just a matter of moments as we get set for 8 laps here in the B main, as off to a great jump once again is J.R. Shepard. Going to be clear as he works his way into turn number 1. Going to have to see what happens with John Wilson. He's already under pressure with a big gaggle of cars back behind.
Yeah, Jason Mender on the inside there in the number 46, trying his best to run close to the wall, but again, it seems the outside line has the advantage on the exit, a little bit more traction, getting on the throttle just a little bit earlier, keeping the wheel a little bit straighter. That's what's given the advantage there to John Wilson, as Brendan Myers now trying around the outside of Mr. Mender. Mender down there in the black car on the inside, and can't see Myers at the moment, but he is starting to edge ahead as JR Shepherd sets the fastest lap.
Yeah, I wonder if we can look a little further back at Todd Liston. He was at least a lap, but look how high he is running compared to everybody else. All the way up against, I wouldn't say all the way up against the wall, but he's out past just as far as everybody else out there. So that outside line starting to come in as the inside starts to slick off. So many other cars starting to run there.
Yeah, and I'm also noticing about Liston, he's keeping the car incredibly straight up there. So it seems that, he's switching to the inside now, and you see the rear end kicking out just a little bit more there. But looking at the drivers who are running high, particularly P4, Jason Mender, keeping the car nice and straight seems to be working out for him as Mender gets the run there on Liston. Tried to stick it up the inside there, but nothing doing for the time being. And this race is starting to come to a very quick close. There's only going to be 2 laps to go when the leader crosses the line next, and it is on 4th, 3rd. Have a look there at Myers and Mender.
So very close between the two of them. Can Menda get the spot? He's going to have some work to do here. He gets a decent launch off the corner, but at the same time, he's feeling the pressure from Liston back behind. You see him there up the inside. Can he get a good jump off? No. He's going to jump all the way back to the outside wall on corner exit.
Final lap then. JR Shepherd in the lead from John Wilson. It is on for 3rd here. Myers, Mender, and Liston all in the 3-car pack. P2 hits the wall on the inside. It looks like JR Shepherd going to come across the line to win here. And it looks like Wilson, Myers, Mender, and Liston beating Mender actually to P4. So Mender rounds out the top 5 there.
It was an incredible slide job from Liston to get past Menda for that 4th spot in the heat. As we got a 5-minute warm-up here, these guys gonna have to do everything they can to figure out what this track is doing, because not only is it starting to cool off, the track temperature only 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I couldn't convert that to your metric units if I wanted to. I know Celsius isn't metric, but we'll run with the joke for the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's starting to cool off. The rubber's starting to come in just a little bit. Track state, not what it was at the start of the session. There you go, 24 Celsius is the track temperature. So appreciation to Sean for giving us both the Fahrenheit and the Celsius for everybody around the world, because we have an international audience. Let us know where you're watching from there in the chat, because we'd love to hear from you, as we celebrated hitting 12,000 subscribers on YouTube this week. So it's a very big accomplishment for us. We can't wait to watch this thing grow as we now ride on board with Jim Rivas, who's turned some absolute flyers as he starts, or gets ready to start, on pole for the feature race.
And that is the speed in kilometers an hour, as we can see, going down under 100, which is in the turns, which is highway speed in Australia. You go even 1 kilometer an hour over that, and the cops are going to bust you. Very tight on our speed limit laws down here in Australia. But Hargraves putting it onto P1 in the warm-up session at the moment. The drivers trying to suss out how the track is. 2/3 of this field have no experience on the track this worn in, so they're trying to sort out where the grip is. A lot of drivers going for the high line here, but there's a few here sticking to the very low and mid lines. They seem reasonably comfortable there on the slick. And I'd say that in the street stock, being on slick versus grippy clay, it doesn't make as much of a difference as it would in a faster dirt car, say like a 410 sprint car. But you know, if you play your cards right, you certainly get an advantage if you're on the fresher clay.
Yeah, that's one thing I think you're going to have to work on is running that inside if you want to try to get a move done. If you're comfortable down there and as soon as you hear your spotter say you're clear, you're just going to want to jump right up in front of them. That's how we saw Liston get around for the 4th spot in the B main. As these guys start trying to listen all the way up against the wall. Wow, he's definitely trying to find an alternate line.
Absolutely. That's the sprint car line, I think, and Billy Northcutt trying to follow him up there. It's a very narrow margin for error if you're running the high line. If you decide to go low, then you've got the entire track on your right-hand side, and you can prepare for the wall if you overcook just a little bit. But if you are down there, if you aren't down there, if you're up close against the wall, you do what Northcutt did and just give it a good old whack on entry. And if you try to stay high, then you're basically running a track that's a car's width wide. You're basically relying on the banking to steer you around there.
Yeah, you saw, Northcutt all the way down just up against the wall on turn in. But by the time that he was about 2/3 of the way through the corner, you see him there sliding up, not able to keep it down against that inside wall like we saw earlier in the session. But he's starting to get it figured out. These guys turning some absolute flyers out there as Hargrave's still at the top spot.
Absolutely. And only got a minute left in the session here, so all of the track time these guys can get, they will certainly try and grab with both hands. But we'll have to go through our feature grid very, very shortly because we've got 15 cars here in the session, and all of them are looking to vie for that spot. You'd think that it might be likely between Hargraves, Rivas, Rafferty, Hayes, Northcutt for the win here, but there's plenty of drivers in this field who could spring a surprise.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of different things happen. It's been fairly clean racing so far, especially for being on the dirt. Normally I'm ending up in the wall 2 or 3 times at this point in the session. But these guys making it look easy and having a ton of fun out there at Lanier as they work their way through the last couple of seconds here in the warm-up. These guys just having a ball out there, and we're having some fun in the booth here as well.
Indeed, we are. Session draws to a close. A little bit of a grace period here before we jump into the feature session. 40 laps around Lanier. It's going to go by in the blink of an eye, Chad, but so much could potentially happen here.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun to watch as we get set for the 40-lap feature here from Lanier. Cautions are going to be on for this race, and Jim Rivas starting on the pole with Hargraves to the outside, then Northcutt and Rafferty row number 2, then Segala and Bobby Hayes row 3. J.R. Shepard's going to start in the 7th spot with John Wilson to his outside, and Brendan Myers and Todd Liston wrapping up row number 5.
On row 6, we got Jason Mender and Cody Jones with Ryan Seneca and Stacy Hunter. On the 7th row, Patrick Cowgill from the Precision Racing League rounding out the field there, the sole car on row 8. He's got a lot of work to do to try and get himself up into the top 5.
Yeah, and these guys going to have 40 laps. Cautions are on, and caution laps will not count. It's going to be 2 wide restarts, double file restarts until the last 10 laps of this feature. And these guys getting set to put on quite the fantastic show one more time around before they get ready. As Jim Rivas gets set in that 21 machine there, the fistful of bourbon car, gets set to take us through 40 laps here at Lanier. The hearts are starting to pump at this point. The revs are going to start to build. The heart rate's starting to rise as well. The blood's pumping at this point, and we're getting all excited here to watch some spectacular BRL action here from Lanier. The pace car pulls off, and a huge jump early on from Jim Rivas. He's going to get clear before they even get to the start-finish line, and one guy all the way up into the wall. That's going to be Rafferty taking the very alternate line. He's going to slot in P4.
And you see the amount of momentum that Rafferty carries down the straights as it looks like JR Shepherd trying to work his way up as well as lap 1 is complete. The top 3 are incredibly close. Revis, Hargreaves and Northcutt all line astern, all running the bottom line, but they do have that renegade Bobby Rafferty up there on the top line, and he's got a lot of drivers starting to follow him up there.
Yeah, it's a tale of two trains of thought here as we've got guys all the way against the wall, we've got guys all the way to the inside, and nobody in between, nobody picking to run that middle. There's not much of a benefit to it as we might have a change for the lead. Gonna have to see if Hargreaves can clear Revis. They're still side by side working their way through the corner.
And Billy Northcutt got into the wall last lap just a little bit, so he's fallen off the back of these two. And they continue to run side by side with Revis going in a little harder into the turn to try and maintain that side by side run. And it's amazing how much respect there is between these drivers, just giving each other enough room, maybe banging wheels and door handles a little bit, but that's all part of the game, and they're still giving each other a good amount of space on board with Billy Northcutt here from the plains. My goodness, what a great view of this battle he has.
Yeah, he's licking his chops right now, waiting for something to happen, gonna try to capitalize if he can, because it's still Revis and Hargreaves. You could barely put a piece of paper in between them as they come off the corner here. They get very close on turn in.
Incredibly, as looks like Hargreaves just getting the advantage there. Coming through turns 1 and 2. He'll try and edge ahead here through 3 and 4, but Revis still on the outside line. He's a little bit closer to the cushion. He can try and carry a little more momentum here, and it continues the big side-by-side run from these two. Very tight down to the wall there for Hargreaves, and almost moving up into Revis. But again, they're giving each other a great amount of room here, and Billy Northcutt is starting to come back at these guys.
1/4 of the distance just about gone already. Wow, time is flying here in the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series. And man, Rafferty as well. You talked about Northcutt. Rafferty running that very top line. Now switching down to the bottom already. Wow. Now he's getting to the inside. Yeah, he's trying to get that third spot. He was running running up against the wall where Northcutt was for the longest time, but now he's going to take the inside and go up to third.
Indeed. Wow, lovely sweeping camera shot there, and that is Billy Northcutt now side by side with, looks like JR Shepherd on the inside of him there. So the top 5 now split into 2 groups. You got the top 2 with Revis actually securing that position ahead of William Hargreaves, and then you've got 3rd, 4th and 5th of Rafferty, Northcutt and Shepherd all fighting together. The top 2 side by side once again as they cross the line, and edging down to the bottom is Jim Revis. Still gives the requisite amount of room to William Hargreaves, but Bobby Rafferty there into 3rd and looking good here. Now that he's switched to the bottom line, we'll see if he can catch up to these two who are continuing to pressure each other, potentially slow each other up.
Yeah, looking at your top 5 there, they have got about a second on everybody else in the field. And maybe 2 seconds at this point, because Myers is 3.5 seconds off of these guys, and he's got a freight train of cars back behind from Segala, Hayes, and Menda, with a bunch of guys back behind, just hungry for positions as we work now lap number 14 of 40 here from Lanier.
Excellent fighting here up at the top of the field, and you can see that there's a solid group of cars in the midfield as well. Some really good racing happening here at Lanier, as again to the inside of Jim Revis goes William Hargreaves. See if he can try and secure the position this time. It just seems that if you're on the inside here at Lanier, you're just at a disadvantage. You're gonna have to be very confident in your traction to make it through, as to the very outside there goes Bobby Rafferty once again, and looks like Billy Northcutt having to give up that 3rd position once again. Another trade there between the two of them. Actually it's Rafferty making his way up there, and JR Shepherd now absolutely monstering the rear quarter there of Billy Northcutt, and it seems Rafferty comfortable again with that high line. He's going to try and get some more momentum down the straights to catch up to the top 2 here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch how that plays out as we approach halfway in this race. He's been running that line for a couple of laps now, and I've seen him kiss the wall with that right rear just a little bit once or twice, but he's got such precise control of that car. He knows exactly where he's running. Now Hargreaves sees that, and he's going to try to run up there, see what he can't do as well.
Yes, indeed. A little bit of extra momentum, and he switches back to the inside again to continue to run on Jim Rivas. But you can see that that high line is clearly working for Bobby Rafferty. He's right behind them when they get to the turn-in point. So let's see then if this top three battle can't be upset a little bit as have a look at the way he just rounds them up here on the straight. You know, you are a bit slower through the turns as, oh, have a look at Hargreaves. He definitely sees that happening once again. Seems that Jim Rivas is comfortable with the bottom line here, but a bit of pressure now on for Bobby Rafferty and William Hargreaves, almost making quarter contact, and, well, Hargreaves thinks, I don't want any more of this, as Rafferty into the wall.
Wow, the slightest kiss there, but he maintains his momentum. These guys, just a lap ago, Rivas took the cross flag, signifying halfway in this race. He continues to hold that lead. It's been him and Hargreaves up front the entire way, and these top five starting to pull away.
Indeed they are. It is now the top three and fourth and fifth for the dichotomy of battles in the top five, and these guys are going to start to come up on lapped traffic very shortly. They got Stacey Hunter just up there ahead of them. Let's see how this works out. You know, there's basically no blue flag rules in oval racing, but still nice to give the leaders a bit of space. But they're going to have to wait a few more laps to work that situation out as they fall into single file, things calming down a little bit in the lead battle.
Yeah, I would assume Stacey would get out and run maybe the high line, seeing everybody what they're running back behind. You see those cars approaching in your mirror, going to the inside time after time. Kind of know, okay, maybe I'll go to the top here, see if I can just stay out of the way for at least enough time to get out of everybody's way, because these top five do have a decent gap back behind Myers running in the sixth spot. They've got 4 seconds behind them, so we're gonna have to wait and see how things play out here. But so far, so clean. It's been some fantastic racing, working lap 27 out of 40 right now here in the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series.
And not just up at the front, the battle for 7th is going off right now, as well as a bit of a pressure there from William Hargreaves on Jim Rivas as they get to the lap traffic, and they all go to the inside with Stacey Hunter up there. But the battle for 7th is, was that Hargreaves into the wall just about. Oh, take it easy, boys.
I just saw Hargreaves' name flash up as he came across the radio to say something, and that was about the time that he got into the wall as well. So maybe just a little distracted there, maybe giving a little thank you to Hunter for getting out of the way. But it's still Rivas in the lead, and thankfully for Hargreaves, not costing too much time as he's still within striking distance. Going to have some work to do here with 11 laps to go.
Indeed, getting to that crunch time at the moment. It seems that the battle for 7th that I was mentioning has calmed down a little bit. You got Bobby Hayes, Joe Segala fighting over that spot on the other side of the track, with Mender and Wilson in hot pursuit. It seems that anywhere in the field there is someone to race with as Hargreaves continues to pile on the pressure. There is that battle for 7th place. Hayes and Segala were running side by side for quite some time, but it seems they've calmed down for the time being, and with the race now entering that final stage, this is when the likes of Hargreaves and Rafferty are really going to have to start piling on the pressure to Jim Rivas, trying everything they can to get that position.
Yeah, Rivas led a lot of the way so far, but these guys back behind still fighting very hard, not giving each other an inch of space, just waiting to capitalize on any mistake here. This is the battle of 7th that we were just talking about. Hayes, Segala, Menda, and Wilson. Now everybody here wants to get that top 10. That's the 81 of Segala hard into the wall. And wow, absolutely sending it there was Menda, but couldn't get it done.
Front of the field, it looks like Hargraves and Rafferty together. Patrick Cowgill, the lapped car, got a bit involved in the battle. There was a slight bit of contact, so now it is definitely on between first, second, and third. A little bit more space now between Rivas and Hargraves is going to have to really start worrying about Bobby Rafferty now.
Yeah, they're coming up on the lapped car of, that's the 27 of Cody Jones, so gonna have to see Cody to the outside up against the wall, just doing everything he can to stay out of everybody else's way. But that battle for a second still heating up.
5 laps to go. It's going to be 4 now as Jim Rivas has to take a slightly compromised line out of turns 3 and 4 there with the lapped car up on the top, but manages to make his way past, and seems that he has the advantage he needs over second and third, as feeding the right rear into the wall was Bobby Rafferty. Just for a moment he manages to hold on to that momentum. Will he be able to get second? Oh, if he keeps hitting the wall like that, he's not going to get much of any kind of pace. But have a look at how the lapped car is defining this battle at the moment. Just 3 laps to go. It's soon going to be 2.
And that's the thing about dirt track racing. There's just nowhere for the lap cars to go, as you see guys trying to run the top, guys trying to run the bottom. There's not really a middle to be run here, as Rivas starts to try to just pull away. He's got 3/4 of a second here as they come across to the white flag. Rivas, so far, he looks to be in the clear, but anything can happen here in the BRL.
Indeed it can, but looks to me like he's managed to secure it. He's got a lap car in between himself and Hargraves, so Jim Rivas is going to come across the line to take a well-deserved victory here.
And a fantastic battle, 40 laps of clean racing here in the feature. And we didn't see a single major incident all night long. We saw a couple taps into the wall, but it was some spectacular racing the entire time. But yeah, great racing all around from these guys here in the Bootleg Racing League. Let's step aside and take a quick break, and we'll be back with some post-race interviews and your full field rundown here on GSRC. And back to Lanier, where Jim Rivas got his first ever win here in the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. He got that by just under a second over Will Hargraves, and then Bobby Rafferty third, Billy Northcutt fourth, and J.R. Shepard wraps up your top five. Then a pretty solid gap back to Brennan Myers and Bobby Hayes. Joe Segala took the A spot with Jason Menda and John Wilson wrapping up the top 10.
Finishing in 11th place, ultimately Todd Liston, the last car on the lead lap. Ryan Seneca, Cody Jones, Patrick Cowgill, and Stacey Hunter rounding out your field. It's time to get into driver interviews, and Chad, you stood by with our feature winner, Jim Rivas.
Jim, your first win here in the Bootleg Racing League. How does it feel?
Oh man, this feels great, man. I was wondering if I was ever going to get one or not, and I knew if I could, it was going to be here at Lanier. So I'm just happy to get my first win here.
So we saw guys running all the way against the wall. We saw you pretty much taking the bottom the entire race. What kind of played into that decision for you?
I kind of consider Lanier my home track, and I run it all the time. It always seems like it always goes down to the bottom. So I was like, I'm not coming off of it. I'm staying down here no matter if they got the run on the outside. And hopefully it pays off in the end, which it did, man. It was just great racing between me and William there for 5-6 laps. We were side by side, didn't touch it. It was just great racing.
Yeah, what's it like knowing you have such great competition around you as you're fighting so hard for the lead?
Like I always say, you're only as fast as the people you race against. And in this group here, you got some fast guys. And when you can pull off a win like this against William or Bobby, I was hoping Brandon would be here. He's down helping with some storm damage stuff. But all in all, like I said, with the guys here, it's just great.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show. You start out by winning your heat, and then you jump straight to the feature where you dominate there. Does that warm-up kind of help you knock the rust off, or what's it like having such a large break between your sessions?
Nerve-wracking. And then when the warm-up comes up, then I can kind of go out and see what the line's going to be. And like I said, just sitting there waiting, the anticipation, it's just nerve-wracking, wondering where you're going to run. Are you going to run high, you going to run low, you going to run mid, where are they going to run? And I know the last 20 laps, I reached up and I kicked my rearview mirror off. I was like, nah, I'm kicking it off. I'm not going to worry about what's behind me and just hit my marks and keep going.
Well, there you go. It sounds like you've got some antsy fans waiting for you back at home. As we wrap things up here, man, anybody want to give shout-outs to?
Yes, sir. I need to give a shout-out to Jim Beaver Esports for allowing me to come on the team and everything, and Fistful of Bourbon, hey, whiskeys for winners. General Tires, Vision Wheels, Dirtfish, Motorsports Drop, Polaris RZR, Beehive Media, and JRE Racing.
Hey, Jim Beaver Esports, I see those guys everywhere, and it's a great product. I'll give them that much.
Yes, sir. And I got to thank you guys for, like I said, doing an awesome broadcast, and Lowell for putting on this league with all these great drivers and everything. It's fun each and every week coming in here.
Well, hey, you put on a great show tonight, Jim, and congratulations on your first win here in the series.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
That's Jim Rivas, your winner here tonight. And up next, it looks like we've got William Hargraves joining us in the booth. Reese, looks like you've caught up with him.
Indeed, I have. Welcome, William, and congratulations on a strong second-place finish. But you certainly gave a red-hot go at the lead, running side-by-side with Jim for all that time early on.
Yeah, we sure gave it everything we had there to try to pull it off. And then when I did, I finally did kind of clear him there, and I made a little mistake, and he was just there. And it's so hard to pass on this track, and especially if you're pinned off that apron in the inside line there, it's just it makes it almost impossible. Great race to Jim, great win, man. Bobby Rafferty, good run in there for sure.
Yeah, it got very intense between you and Bobby towards the end of the feature as well. You were experimenting a little bit with the high and low line variable banking here at Lanier. It really lends itself well to trying out different lines.
Yeah, for sure. Bobby was making that top work real well up there. I couldn't find it. I don't know. He was maybe banging the right rear off the cushion or off the wall just a little bit or what. I don't know how he was doing it, but I couldn't find it up there. So I just kind of went back to what I was doing there. And like I said, it's so slick and it's basically one groove there. I mean, we made it look like it was two, but it's not for a track.
Well, either way, coming across the line in second, and the lapped cars did play their part a little bit towards the end. But I think, a lot of dirt oval racers would agree that's just part of the game. When you're racing on these really tight tracks, you're inevitably going to encounter those kinds of obstacles.
Oh, for sure, and the lap cars, they all did fantastic jobs too. They held their line and they let us go and they did what we had to for sure. Good job to all those guys for sure.
Yeah, agreed on that. Well, William, with this finish once again under your belt, still looking pretty good in terms of the championship. How you feeling about the remaining rounds of the season?
We're just gonna come out and try to get a win here yet before the season's up. Brandon will be back, I'm sure, and he's gonna want it too. So a lot of guys in here want wins, and we'll just see what happens.
Shall indeed. All the best for the future rounds, William. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. Everybody in BRL for letting me race and coming and have a great time with you guys. A lot of mad respect for all these drivers and a lot of fun every Friday night. I got to thank my Dirt Panda Racing teammates, Blue Sky Builders, Melm Electric, and Wild Bill's Race Designs.
Well, William Hargraves there, second on the road in the feature here at Lanier, also winning Heat 2 along the way. Great performance. Final driver interview of the night, Chad. It looks like you've caught up with Bobby Rafferty, P3.
Yeah, Bobby, you were the only one up at the front of the field, at least, running the top line the entire race. What kind of led you to make that decision?
I ran a hosted race with Jesse Enerkin about a week and a half back, and noticed, the wall bouncing and stuff with the changes that iRacing have made doesn't work, and it's more true to keep the car straight on the cushion and just get your right sides up against it, and it'll shoot you right around, and it works. So I tried it, it wasn't there, tried it again, it wasn't there, and then finally it started coming in and started gaining some ground, but circumstances didn't play in our favor tonight. It's another podium. I'd love to be able to get this monkey off my back, but congrats to Jim. It's his first win for this league, and I'm damn proud of him.
As you were competing with him pretty heavily in your heat race as well. We've seen some other very talented guys in here. What's it like just racing against some guys that here on dirt are very specialized in it and know what they're doing? Does it make you a little more comfortable behind the wheel?
I mean, pretty much I can say actually everybody in this league, and you can't say this about pretty much any other league, but everybody in this league I have zero issue running wheel to wheel with, and know that we're going to be able to come out on the other side. Mistakes happen, things happen, but that's racing. But it's never malicious. People use their head, so it's definitely a fun league to be able to run in.
Yeah, it was certainly a fun race to commentate here in the booth, and so much fun to watch. We're going to Charlotte next week for the dirt track there. Any expectations for that one?
Well, hopefully I can get the monkey off my back. Last time we were there, I ended up winning it. We'll see what happens. It's been I'm getting frustrated with the dry spell. We'll just put it that way.
You know what? Every streak comes to an end at some point, and hopefully you get back to your winning ways here soon. As we wrap things up here, Bobby, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah. First, before I thank anybody, of current, I want to just go out and say a big thank you to my former team, Jim Beaver Esports. All those guys were absolutely great for me. I'm still friends with all of them. Appreciate everything they did for me. But as for the current, obviously I got to thank my main sponsor, G-Coin. Also got to thank Sansa Racing Fabrications, Evil One Designs. Jim actually helped me out with this paint on this car, made it look absolutely phenomenal. Also want to thank Lowell, Bootleg Racing League, you guys at GSRC for broadcasting, and that's about it.
Well, hey, it's a great group of guys to have behind your back and helping you out along the way. And it's been so much fun watching you here tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you the rest of the way.
Absolutely. See you guys next week. And if anybody sees that monkey on my back, take a sledgehammer to him, would you?
I'd say Jacko Flacco, I think, got hit with a rock when you're pulling that trap door up. But it was a fantastic race here from Lanier. And any final thoughts from you, Reese?
Well, I guess my final thought is I'm glad I put my hand up to jump in for this because, it's been a while since I've done a dirt broadcast, and it was good to get some street stock action as well. You know, these cars are pretty much base level in terms of dirt content, but that doesn't mean anything. They provide fantastic racing, and I got to give a big shout out to all the drivers here as well. You know, we were interviewing our podium getters, and they're right. There's so much respect between the field here, and it's evident in the way they raced here tonight.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic show and a great way to start off the weekend. But I'm looking forward to next week as well at the dirt track at Charlie. You can catch that race same time, same place here on GSRC. But in the meantime, we got a bunch of other shows coming up to get ready for, and we have to give thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. They're going to be listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Chad. I'm Chad, and you can also with Reese, Sean, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed at the bottom of the screen. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below as well. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race is next week. It's going to be Friday, the 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we also have more races that are going to be listed here on your screen. So check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.